Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Women's Council Collin County Live. It is my privilege today to be interviewing our Women's Council Texas President, Ms. Peggy Pentecost. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce her and bring her in. I had the pleasure of started working with Ms. Peggy last year. I kind of volunteered last year before everything shut down last year. I got to attend one event last year. That was a state winter conference. And I go to this session. I'm like, oh, we're looking for volunteers for our orientation in October at the hotel. I'm like, hey, I come from hotel industry. I'll be happy to volunteer. Then life happened. And oh, we're going virtual. So here, you can do this. So I call her my birthday twin, Karen, and I got to handle orientation. So we actually got to set up orientation on our birthdays to go live. So that was our first experience with Miss Peggy, and she was gracious and patient with us. And so we can say in this past year, we've grown and done things that we never thought would be possible. That's the beauty of Women's Council. But I want to tell you a little about Miss Peggy. She has been associated with the Houston Association of Realtors, being involved in government affairs group for the past 10 years, global diversity as well, and political affiliate advocacy group as well. She was local president for Houston Network in 2014 and 15, Realtor of the Year in 16, district vice president with Women's Council in 16 as well, state secretary in 18, treasurer in 19, president-elect in 20, and now Texas president in 2021. So welcome, Miss Peggy. It is an honor to have you on. So I'll let you introduce yourself and give us a little bit more information.
Well, I think that about covers it. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate it. I have been a realtor for since probably before most of you were born. And before I even graduated from college, before I even went to college, I actually got my license. So I've been practicing real estate for a very long time. And maybe a little fun fact would be to tell you how I got into Women's Council.
Okay, what's that?
Well, I'm sure that I am the only person who has this story. I got into Women's Council from the United States Census.
Oh, I didn't know
now
that.
You're asking,
How's that
possible? Actually, I joined Women's Council because I went to a Women's Council meeting because they were having a well-known economist, Ted Jones, from Stewart Title. And I went to the meeting and I was so impressed, I went home and I joined. But that was pretty much the end of it, and I certainly wasn't involved. I just was a passive member. So the U.S. Census took me to someone's home who happened to be the person who I served on the International Advisory Group, now called the Global Advisory Group of the Houston Association of Realtors with, who at the time was the president of the Women's Council of Realtors Houston Network. So I'm sitting there interviewing her for the census, and she's answering all the questions, and she says to me, when I tell her I have joined that Women's Council group that, I went to, she said, oh, if this isn't typical, we need board members. So of course, the rest is pretty much history because it's very similar to most everyone's story. From there, you go from your membership, for a while, and then your secretary or your treasurer or your president-elect, and bam. So the next year I was president, which started my back-to-back 2-year term as president of the Houston Network.
Yep. Well, I can say Power was my first state event that I attended. And of course, I started in 19 as an affiliate with Amerispec. So September 19 was my first event to go over to Power and experience, I guess, the bigger picture, because I had just gone to the Collin County events. And so I was just amazed by the panel and the speakers and everybody's knowledge and their insight. So it's cool to be part of the team helping you to bring power to everyone this year. So may I ask, what was your inspiration for this year's Power?
Well, I am blessed beyond words to be able to be the president for the state on the very year that is the first time in 19 years for Texas Realtors to return to Houston.
Oh, wow.
So, because of that, as you know, because you attended Power last time, it was in Fort Worth, and none of us was from Fort Worth, meaning none of us in the leadership team.
Yeah.
So, it was a bit of a struggle. We didn't have a strong network there that really could help us bring in partners for that particular event. So, it was it was a fabulously well done event, but it unfortunately was very difficult to do in a foreign place. Well, now I have the opportunity to do it here in Houston, where all of two or three of us on our actually three of us on our board this year are from the area. And we have 7 networks here in the area. So it has proven itself to be much easier to put it together with all of the contacts that we have at our disposal, including the opportunity to get strategic partners. So that the inspiration was just that I want to show the state of Texas and the country how Texas, and in particular how Houston does it when we host an event for our statewide networks.
Well, that's the cool thing. I think everybody is so excited just to be able to come back in person a year and a half later. It's just like we're tickled to get out of the Hollywood squares of Zoom and to be able to see and touch and actually have drinks in person instead of, you know, toasting each other over Zoom. So,
That's
but,
right.
but yeah, what would you say has been one of your highlights of being a president this past year or this year?
The highlight of being president for me is watching people achieve their goals and watching people achieve things they didn't know were their goals.
Yeah.
So people getting obtaining skills and reaching a height in their career that they didn't think was possible. And I get the greatest fulfillment of watching other women become successful, especially the younger women who come into this organization and have no idea what they're getting into. And what you're getting into is a lifetime of friendship, an opportunity to learn leadership skills like you would never have anywhere else. And these skills are something that they inscribe on your heart, something forever. You never forget when you get involved in Women's Council who it was that was mentoring you, who it was that lifted you up and inspired you. So I would say that is the highlight of being president, is to watch all of our members all across the state of Texas and even beyond grow and become great leaders, not only in the industry but beyond.
Well, thank you. And I can say you have been one of my mentors. And when I would have, again, 2 years ago, I'm just going to go to this. And then a little bit later, hey, do you want to be membership director? I'm like, all right. So before I went to my first state event, I read everything and anything on the website because I just wanted to be informed. And it just truly turned into a sisterhood of support that I'd had previously a long time ago in another group that I'd been involved with. But it wasn't a competition. It's just a sisterhood of supporting everyone else. You know, how can we grow? How can we support? How can we take the skills learned and grow ourselves professionally as well as, home? And that's the beauty of meeting everybody that I have through Texas. And then last year when we were on shutdown, I just sat in my office and I went on Zooms from Florida to Ohio to California. And I got to meet, the Sam Powells, the Jolies, the Tammys, and, all these other ladies. And just to see, yes, we're all struggling and everybody's handling this differently, but it was great just to see the sisterhood of how can we support, how can we keep everybody plugged in, how can we do this or how can we do that. So for me, that was a great benefit. I'm going to Lyndon also has a show with Shar, who's our president-elect for Southwest Dallas. And I was watching their show yesterday, and he said, knowledge comes from books, experience comes from wisdom. And that's the beauty of watching everybody and learning and doing everything, and then taking that and then deciding to go ahead and get my real estate license this year. It's been an experience and journey that, yes, I kind of joke I did this backwards, but at the same time, I'm more realistic. And it's funny when I go to some of these orientations and things, and seeing what I call Zoom virgins, and people, I'm like, you do know you're on Zoom, and you kind of need to be professional. So it is interesting that I'm ahead of the curve, and I have to credit that to Women's Council, because I am where I am. I'm very blessed that, I started with Sherry 3 years ago with the Mayor's Spec. Had the support here at work, had the support of my husband, and then all my sisters at Women's Council to do this journey and find skills that I necessarily didn't think I have. But that's the beauty. One person's strength is another person's weakness, but we come together as a team. And so that's Karen and I would always joke last year when we were working on the registration for orientation last year, that if we couldn't figure it out, normally if we just call somebody and they would listen and talk us through it, we would figure it out. But that's the beauty. We can say, Missy, Karen, and I, we call ourselves your three musketeers, because we were still standing the night before, crazy going for orientation. But it's an experience that we're forever bonded about. And that's the beauty. We're all excited to get to see everybody in person and to celebrate this year. And, to hug and touch these people that we've met in Zoom, from Claudia in El Paso, to all these other women, and coming together. We're excited to be part of Power. And it's going to be a very action-packed lineup. Would you like to share what we have?
Oh, I would very much. So, first of all, we are doing this in conjunction with Districts B and C, which are also holding their district meeting actually before they're doing a CE course, which is going to be awesome. Houston Association of Realtors is specifically designing this course for us. No one will have ever seen it or taken it, and it is not offered anywhere. So it's going to be a first time ever out of the box opportunity to take a 2-hour CE course from 8 to 10 in the morning. Just after that, at 10 o'clock, we're going to begin our registration, and the vendors will be set up there for everyone to come and visit with them. There will be an opportunity for a prize for everyone that visits all of the vendors and gets all the stamps that they need to qualify for going into a drawing. After that, we will be filing into our tables. The vendors will be all located so that you can't miss them on the way into the room. Once you're in there, we will have a photo booth, and we will have a huge room set up to really listen to all of the great presentations that will be coming forward for the day, beginning with our friend Jennifer Berman, who is, some of you already know her from Inman and National Association of Realtors. She is a dynamic speaker and has an incredible story to tell about not only what a superstar she is in real estate. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with her on the phone. She said, I've got to go. This guy is calling me that wants me to sell his island. So I think she has a lot of really great stories to tell us, all on top of the fact that she is a many-time cancer survivor, and she is doing business with the stars and the celebrities from all over the world, not just from the United States. So she has amazing stories to share and great tips for us. Moving forward, we will be hearing more stories from very accomplished women. We'll have Tammy Bunnell from Exit Realty. We will have Rita Santa Maria from Champions Real Estate, Rachel Luna from Patriot Title, and Sharon Geib from Cadence Bank, who is who all of them have an entirely different story of how they got from where they were to where they are now and everything in between. So after that presentation, of course, you're going to eat a deliciously prepared lunch, then followed up by the rest of the district meeting presentation with someone I know a lot of our listeners has already seen, but she has a great presentation in store for us that is cutting edge for social media, and that is our own Crystal Washington. She will close it out, but mind you, never could we end any kind of a realtor event without a cocktail opportunity. So our sponsors have made it possible for us to give everyone a couple of cocktails, and we will close it out with an hour-long cocktail reception.
That'll be
So
sweet.
that's our day, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
I think everybody's ready for those cocktails and just get ready to absorb because I remember again just being in that and I just being enamored and was so impressed with the power presentation from 2019. So I'm excited to be part of the team that's helping bring it with marketing and help advertising it here locally and on the state as well. But to be able to be in that room and to say, we got to be a small part of it and just to see everybody's inspiration and motivation. I think some people have done well in the pandemic and others have, had challenges. But that's the beauty of the sisterhood. We're all together for each other. And I think we're all excited just to come together, share, and what can we can learn. And then the cool part is a couple of days later, then we get to vote on the new people that will be coming on board for 2022.
Right.
So that will be exciting. So let me ask you this. How has your involvement with Women's Council, TREPAC, and HAR helped empower your career?
Well, I can tell you this, my first year in Women's Council as president, I doubled my business, which blew my mind because the only thing that I had been told by my broker at the time was, oh, no, you don't want to get involved with that because it's a time vampire. It's going to take all your time and it won't help you in business at all. Absolutely 100% to the contrary, because not only, did it help me in business, but it also helped me develop skills that I use in my business every day, which are these leadership skills, ability to work with many different types of personalities, and how to dot the I's, cross the T's, keep files, prepare spreadsheets, all of that, all of those skills that you develop as a leader in Women's Council. So Women's Council has absolutely contributed magnanimously to the success that I'm enjoying today. And I continue to get a massive number of referrals, oftentimes passing them to many of our members all over the state, as well as receiving some for myself. And I just gave 3 opportunities away, 2 of them in Temple and 1 in Lubbock, Texas. So there is lots of opportunity to refer. And now I feel like I have a referral network that I can count on, that I know is going to take care of things for me. And service to the Houston Association of Realtors, as you know, you mentioned that I am on the governmental affairs group, and I am a member of the global advisory group, where I have been a member for, I think, 13 or 14 years. Those groups do a lot for your business as well, but more importantly, they do a lot for your credibility. They help you understand how things work in the government of the association, and they also help you understand how a lot of our rules, regulations, and things that we use every day, decisions that are made for the way that we do business locally in our association, are made right there at that level. And you're an integral part of it. And that is a pretty exciting piece to know that you as a licensed realtor are not just a passive member, but you are now a part of something that actually makes decisions for the 43,000 plus real estate agents in the Realtors Association here in this area alone. So I think that this kind of involvement is really important. I never saw it that way before. I did think that it was a time vampire. I did think that going into a room of your competitors was something that was not beneficial, and I have since obviously been convinced otherwise.
Yeah. We definitely show that the membership of 189 definitely, breaks down to, a little bit per day, but definitely your investment. I know with you getting referrals, I know JC from one of our local Collin County secretary got a referral and she just closed. And she said, that's the best 189 that she spent. So I think a lot of people discount, like you said, they think it's going to be a time vampire, but they have to change the mindset of it's the opportunity. It's the opportunity to grow as a realtor. And I can say with being involved again as an affiliate with MetroTax, Collin County Association, and Greater Louisville, that walking in, yes, I knew coming from the hotel industry, I knew what fed North Texas, when we were having our boom in 16, 15 and 16 with FedEx and Toyota and just the growth. But now to be on the other aspect of it, the realtor side, to see what's driving, to see the stats, it's great just because I think I'm more knowledgeable in certain aspects than I see some other people that are coming out of the gate being on orientation. But I think too, and I think Lyndon mentioned this in one of his Facebook groups too, you have to be always willing to learn, to grow, whether you're getting knowledge from a book or you're, attending, Power, or if you're attending a Zoom. As long as you're absorbing and learning, I think whether that helps you immediately or if that helps you down the road, it's just going to expand your knowledge and your base. And to say that, hey, I know someone, and I guess I'll say this because my husband and I have a catering company. We've always been, it's our pleasure to be of service to you. And just coming from hospitality, one of my personal passions. And when you're true and authentic and you do something and you want to help some people, I think other people are kind of flabbergasted that, oh, you want to do this for me, and there's no ulterior motive. But that's the beauty with Women's Council. You see other people that embrace. So we're all each other's cheerleader, and that's the beauty of it. Whether you get to be, hey, someone's going to California or someone's from California is here, is to have that sisterhood to say, hey, these people will take care of you. And to know when you're referring to that person, they have the same code of ethics and excellence that you do as part of Women's Council. So that's the beauty of it.
It's a servant's heart.
Yes.
And it is something that I believe you grow to understand quite thoroughly when you get involved in the leadership opportunities that Women's Council offer you. This is a little bit of heart, a little bit of common sense, a little bit of hard work. All of it together is what makes up the experience of being a Women's Council leader. And I can tell you that the Houston Association of Realtors proudly elected 6 of our members to the board in this last election. So I'm very excited to say that leaders are made here and we can prove it.
Yeah, I was excited to see the post the other day. So that's the beauty of it. So what would you tell your younger self if you could go back and give yourself some words of encouragement?
Probably to understand how important it is to allow yourself to have some vulnerability. You were talking about the Women's Council experience with you and Karen and how you didn't know how to do these things, but rather than saying, oh, I can't do that, I'm not going to do that, or just simply running and hiding in the corner, instead you accepted the challenge and you actually lifted yourself up to a level you didn't even know you were capable of achieving. So I would say to you that is probably the very example of what I would use to say that is the experience of Women's Council and how you grow as an individual, and what Women's Council has to offer you to make that happen, to make that possible, is to be vulnerable, not be afraid to make mistakes. That is what Women's Council should be. It should be a very safe place for you to jump out there, try something you don't necessarily know anything about, and still have a safe place to make a mistake. Because if you don't make a mistake, you're probably not going to learn. Making mistakes is how you learn. So being vulnerable is the best teacher there could possibly be.
I
And
agree
that's
with
what I would say is vulnerability.
I completely agree because I think too, I think when you set yourself up and you, it's like I tell people, it's like if you just show up, you're professional and do what you say you're going to do, you can look like a rock star, but you have to be willing to do the work. I said, not everybody has that same ethic. And that's the beauty because you saw something in me that I necessarily didn't see. And, I'm blessed with my local board. And that's the beauty is we get to help elevate other people within our sisterhood, within Women's Council. And we do have men, just not women. So we do have a few men here in Collin County. I know El Paso has a couple of leaders as well that are men. And we have also Aaron and Austin. So I know there's several men, but that's the beauty. We welcome everybody. We welcome everybody to get involved. I mean, whether you want to serve on the board, whether you want to serve on the team locally, or if you want to serve on a state team, there's opportunities to learn and to grow. And that's the beauty because you have the support of everyone. So I've been very blessed by your mentorship. And I can say definitely I've had Peggy's support. And that way she knows that I'm running for Women's Council, Collin County President elect. So thank you, Madame. So
My pleasure. The pleasure is truly all mine. You are a very hard worker, and it is amazing to watch when you begin your year as president, which kind of starts right after the election, and you start to observe the leaders, and it's sort of like you have no idea who is going to rise to the top, right? And you watch and you see as things sift out and the people who are the rock stars start to emerge. And it's always so much fun to see that. And in the 5 years that I've been serving at the state level, I have thoroughly enjoyed that piece of it. Watching someone whose name I never even knew all of a sudden be an emerging leader and a rock star in the Texas network. So it just makes me beam with delight and pride to know I had a wonderful group of district vice presidents this year. They all were so committed and so driven to help our networks. And I believe that they went above and beyond in a time of great uncertainty when we had no idea what was going to happen. And we still have no idea what's going to happen. We're still in this craziness. We still have all the buzz about the Delta virus. So I have all the confidence in the world to know that this team of members behind me is going to be ready and willing and able to make anything happen no matter what comes up. And I have to say that's exactly what did happen when we went underground, if you will, as soon as all of this hit when it did. And so basically, I like to say we started the room free, or we started the year free and live in 2020. We ended the year starting to open up. Now we started this year where we are still a little bit doing hybrid, and we still couldn't have 100% anything, and the hospitality industry was still largely shut down. Now we're moving into a more open approach. We do have some places around the country that are experiencing some setbacks. I'm hoping that this will not be anything like it was last time, and that we will continue to be free to move forward as we have. But I also know that no matter what happens, that I have all these spectacular people on my team who are like, pivot, no problem. So it is part of what the experience is about. I really embrace it. I really thrive on it. I love the change. I love the challenge. So you and so many others have made such a success out of this year, and it is something that could not have happened without all of you. So I look behind me and I know who all's back there, and I know I can call Shannon, I can call Missy, I can call Patty, I can call Claudia. I know these people that I can call. Jen will help me with this, and Cheryl is my advisor. I can call Cheryl. So it feels so good to know that I can feel confident of no matter what happens, we are going to be okay, and we're going to be able to fulfill the mission of this organization.
Well, I completely agree with you, and I think you're going to continue serving and mentoring whatever your next chapter with Women's Council will be, and you will definitely continue to be one of our shining stars here in Modeling, Texas, but nationally. So it has been my pleasure to be part of your team and to learn from you. And this way, I just want to let everybody know, if you go to our page, WCR Collin County, I have posted the information for Power that you can log on and get registered. And then that way we'll also be sharing out too in the next few days via MailChimp, as with our membership, as well as on our socials, more details of upcoming to have. So Miss Peggy, thank you for being my guest today. It is a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you in a month. And then this way we get to toast and have cocktails in person again.
That would be marvelous.
So,
I would love it. Thank you again for having me.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.